You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. And in today's video, we are going to react to the breaking injury news for the New York Knicks. We'll start with OG Anunoby, and he has been ruled out for Game 3 as he did sustain that hamstring strain and did not return in that third quarter, and he missed the fourth quarter of Game 2. We'll talk about Anunoby in a second, but I also just want to let you guys know that Jalen Brunson is officially listed as questionable for Game 3 with that sore right foot. If I had to make a prediction, I would say that Jalen Brunson is going to play in Game 3. We've seen him battle through all types of injuries all year long. He's got that warrior and dog-like mentality. And if he can go out there and play through the pain, I think he will do that. We'll talk more around the corner. We'll give you some more thoughts and information on OG Anunoby. But this is why you subscribe to New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. We put out free, informative, entertaining content every single day. We're live for every single postseason game. Over 100,000 people have tuned in for 3 straight streams. And we're going to be live on the channel tomorrow for Game 3. So subscribe, turn the notifications on, and let's go Knicks. A couple of thoughts that I have on OG and his strained hamstring. They called it a sore hamstring last night. Now it's a strained hamstring. I don't feel good about the news and the fact that the New York Knicks are already ruling him out for Game 3 prior, 24 hours prior to the game being tipped off. I don't think that that is a good sign, and for a lot of different reasons. One, he's a damn good basketball player, and the New York Knicks are better when he's on the floor. But if they would have listed him as questionable, he could have at least tried to get it and ready to go for Game 3, but that is not going to happen. I think the question now becomes for Anunoby is, does he play again this series? And if the Knicks are able to advance to the conference finals, does he play then? Or is he out for the remainder of the season? Look, I'm not a doctor, but my eyes told me that that was a pretty intense hamstring injury he had. He was grabbing his leg. He couldn't stand up for a while. He walked with a very severe limp to the bench, and he did not return in that game. And it stinks because it felt like that was the game that OG Anunoby broke out of his shy offensive game, and he became a go-to scorer and an initiator for this offense. When Jalen Brunson went out, and with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in that first quarter, the Knicks were able to stay afloat because of the production that OG Anunoby gave you. And he's been productive all playoff long. You look at the stats on screen and how he's produced, the guy's averaging over 16 points per game on great efficiency, north of 49% from the field and north of 39% from 3. But we saw him as a ball handler and a guy that could get downhill and manipulate the defense with the defender on his back hip when he got to the basket, finishing with his left hand, finishing with his right hand, the step back jumper, the 3 ball was falling. It felt like OG had finally found his spot in the New York Knicks offense. And then he hurts his hamstring. It is very, very disappointing, and I feel extremely bad for OG Anunoby. I also feel bad for the Knicks and myself because I'm a Knicks fan. And the Knicks are 26-5 this year with OG Anunoby. Think about that. The Knicks are 26-5 with OG Anunoby. They're 26-4 when OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson play together. So quite literally, they are the best basketball team in the world when Anunoby and Brunson are on the floor together. And we may not have that for Game 3, and we may not get to see that again until October next year. I'm getting mad talking about it. I freaking love this team, and it feels like we are just being robbed of this magical season because of injuries. But you know what? Done coping there. Let's move on, and let's ask a question that I'm not even sure I know the answer to. With Anunoby out, someone's got to slot into the starting lineup, and we've seen both players, Miles McBride as well as Precious Achiuwa, start at times. Who do you think should take Anunoby's spot in that starting lineup? Is it the guard where the Knicks go small? Or is it Precious Achiuwa the big and they go big with Achiuwa and Hartenstein? You only have about 6 players now that are available to play. I'm sure Alec Burks will play, maybe even Shake Milton. I can't believe we're in this spot. I cannot believe it. Who should start? I want to hear from you. If I had to say right now, 24 hours before Game 3 gets tipped off, I lean Precious Achiuwa. And I actually think the New York Knicks offense and defense might be a little bit better with McBride in there alongside Brunson and Hartenstein with Josh Hart and DiVincenzo. but I don't think that you can have zero guards or the only guard coming off the bench be Alec Burks. So for that reason, I'll play Achua, and then with the first 4 or 5 minutes, either Achua or Hartenstein sits down, one of them stays at the 5, and you bring in Deuce and you play small. Because if you start Brunson and Deuce, you don't have a guard that can come off the bench, and if you get in foul trouble, you're going to be doing the Tom Thibodeau special, which might be all 5 players playing 48 minutes. Now Jalen Brunson. The Knicks are listing him as questionable with that sore right foot, and I think that is awesome news. The fact that they aren't already ruling him out like they are with Achua, Anunoby, is a great sign. And the fact he came back in the second half and played at the level he did, moved the way he did, jumping up and down. He obviously was hobbled, was not 100%, but able to play, and it sounds like he's going to give it a go for Game 3 as he is listed as questionable. I thought it was interesting, though, that the Indiana Pacers are -7 in Game 3. The New York Knicks are 7-point dogs. Does Vegas know something that we do not? Look, I expect it to be a tough Game 3, a large part because OG Anunoby is not going to play, but also that's going to be a hostile environment, and the Pacers are going to play like their back is against the wall because it is. They can only lose 2 more times or they are eliminated from the 2024 playoffs. I've already been asked this question. With the Knicks -7 or the Knicks +7 and no OG Anunoby and a potentially hobbled Jalen Brunson, do you just rest Jalen Brunson for Game 3? That's a loaded question for me. And my answer is always going to be no. Because if you can play, you can play. If you can't play, don't play. And you rest him that way. But if he's able to go, you got to play him. Because when he plays, he does things that nobody else in this world can do right now when it comes to putting the ball in the basket and willing his team to victory. And I don't think the New York Knicks are good enough, especially if Anunoby's not going to return this series, to kind of just mail in Game 3 and chalk up a loss. Brunson's been special. We all know that. But at the end of the day, if Jalen Brunson is not healthy, the New York Knicks are not going to go places that they want to go. They need him healthy. And not just healthy, they need him as close to 100% as he can be. Nobody in the NBA right now is having to shoulder a larger burden and be more of an engine to a team than Brunson right now. And if he's only at 80% or 90%, you're lowering the chances of your success. If he can't play in Game 3, fine. But if he can, I'd put him out there. God, I just wish injuries could be turned off for once, because the New York Knicks, they're dealing with a lot of them right now. We're going to recap Game 2, tell you what the Knicks got to do to win Game 3. But first, you got to go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use that promo code CLNS and get a first-time deposit match up to $100. Shout out to Prize Picks, our proud sponsor of today's show, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the game. My favorite part about Prize Picks, though, is all the different kind of deals that they offer to their users to help them win real-life money. Like what they got with Caitlin Clark going on right now with her WNBA debut right around the corner. They have slashed her point total by 99%, and they are setting it at half a point. Choose the more on that. That's a freebie into your lineup. You can create lineups of 2 to 6 players, so you only need one more person to pair alongside that Caitlin Clark special. Take advantage of the deal. Support the show. Support the sponsor. Be a real one. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS. Get your lineups ready to go for Game 3 as the New York Knicks are on their way to Indianapolis. All right, so the Knicks, they win Game 2, 130-121. Obviously, the headline is Brunson injured and OG Anunoby injured. But I just want to take a couple of minutes to focus on what happened in between those white lines and try to figure out how the New York Knicks can go into Indy and steal one of the 2 games that they have on their home court. Something that I need the Knicks to do a better job of is dominating the glass. And more importantly, dominating the defensive glass. We talk about all the time the Knicks need to go out and dominate the offensive glass, get extra possessions, get extra chances. But the New York Knicks, through 2 games, have almost been out-rebounded on the offensive glass by Indiana. And a stop is not a stop until you grab a defensive board. The Pacers last night, they had more offensive rebounds than the Knicks. And that comes down to the fact that the Knicks just need to box out a little bit more on defense. Something I am a little bit worried about, the Pacers have shot the ball extremely well from 3. And that's what they are going to do, right? They're one of the most high-flying, high-pace, point production teams in this league. And they've got shooters everywhere. But on the flip side, you score 121 points, you beat the Knicks on the offensive glass, and you shoot 44% from 3, and you lost by 9 points. mainly because of what OG Anunoby did. I mean, if OG Anunoby does not go into a Kawhi Leonard type of mindset when it comes to putting the ball in the basket when Jalen Brunson had to sit down in the first quarter, they wouldn't have kept it close enough for him to come save the day in the third like he did. I don't really have any more words to say about Jalen Brunson. What he is doing right now should not be taken lightly. This is one of the best postseason runs we have seen by a player in NBA history. It seems like every single night we're seeing Jalen Brunson is the first player to do this since Michael Jordan. Jalen Brunson is the first player to ever do this, and he continues to do it. He did it on 1 foot in less than 33 minutes last night for the Knicks. But it's everybody on this team. Every person that stepped on the floor that wore an orange and blue jersey found a way to be productive and help the Knicks win, and they couldn't have done it without anybody that played. Dante DiVincenzo, again, answers the bell, carries the offense in that third quarter, and really just continues to be the ultimate glue guy for this team, and he once again hit a big-time three in the fourth quarter. Josh Hart continues to just play like a man that's possessed. 48 minutes, doesn't matter. 5 turnovers in the first half, doesn't matter. When the lights got turned on bright in the second half, you could argue that he was the best player on the floor. The guy is 6'4", and he's giving you 15 rebounds a night, averaging almost 13 in the postseason. Somebody asked me the other day, how long can he continue to do this? Maybe this is just who he is. Maybe he is just one of the best players in the NBA. With Brunson hobbled and not being able to initiate offense like he would have liked to, the Knicks turned to Josh Hart, and they turned to Isaiah Hartenstein to initiate offense. 15 combined assists between the two players. Hartenstein was great. I know he had 12 rebounds. Just want to see her be a stronger presence on the defensive glass to limit the second chance points for Indiana. Precious Achiuwa slotted back in to the rotation. Maybe now into the starting lineup with Anunoby out. You know that he is going to continue to be relied upon and needs to continue to be successful and productive. I thought Achiuwa gave you some really good minutes in Game 3. Proud of the way the big sneeze stepped up. Tyrese Halliburton for the Indiana Pacers. He was great for 3 quarters. But in that fourth quarter, the New York Knicks turned him into a guy that needed to put the ball in the basket, someone that needed to score. They turned him into a shot taker. He just was not a shot maker. Great in the first 3 quarters, but I think Rick Carlisle probably should have benched him and kept T.J. McConnell in the game, but that's your problem. Maybe you could focus more on your rotations, Rick Carlisle, instead of sending in 78 clips from Game 1 and Game 2 to complain about the officials. Remember when Rick Carlisle tried to trip Latrell Sprewell and was fined $10,000 in 2000? Guy's a bum. Pascal Siakam kind of held under wraps by the New York Knicks, but that's going to be a bigger problem going into Game 3 and Game 4 and even 5 and 6 and 7 if necessary if OG Anunoby is not able to play. It's going to be Josh Hart primarily as the defender on Siakam, and that's a matchup that benefits the Pacers no matter how much we love Hart. We got to be honest. Siakam, 6'10", super athletic, long and lanky. Josh Hart, 6'4.5" on a good day. So that's something that you will have to battle with and deal with Anunoby potentially out. Injuries to Brunson, injuries to Anunoby, to Bogey, to Randle, to Robinson. Who do you got? Who's winning this series? Some money is being shifted in the direction of the Indiana Pacers. The odds makers out west don't think the Knicks can do it with the limited amount of troops that they have. What do you think? Who do you got? Type NYK for the Knicks or IND for the Pacers. Make sure you are following me over on social media. I'm at @MarshallGreen_ on Twitter as well as on Instagram. If you haven't yet given me a follow, do it right now, and let's go Knicks.